Good morning, friends. Let's sing a morning song together. The choir's going to do the bulk of it, but I want you to participate, and you just have to know one word, and the word is rejuvenate. So we're going to sing rejuvenate, 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 rejuvenate. Then I want you to rejuvenate, rejuvenate, rejuvenate. Then you have to let your body bounce because you're getting you, and then we're going to just add into that. Rejuvenate, whoa, 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 rejuvenate. You're ready to go. And if you forget what the word is, it'll be up on the screen. All of the words will be up there, and if at one point you feel like, gosh, I think I know it better than the choir does, just jump in and sing. We'll have another time where we'll just ask you to clap, but you go ahead and stand up, if you want to. We're going to have a little hoedown here. Oh, I don't need that clear out here. She's going to be playing that tambourine.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Whitney Godby. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. I am a white woman in my late 30s with brown and gray hair, and today I'm wearing a black shirt and sweater. Leading worship with me today is Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen, Troy Fisher, our music director, and Sarah Lewis, the director of community and faith development. Reverend Monica may be familiar to many of you. She served as our sabbatical minister last fall while Reverend Mary was away. Reverend Monica currently serves the UU Congregation of Salem, Oregon, and Community UU Church of Pasco, Washington. She lives outside Vancouver, Washington with her family. Our minister, Reverend Mary Geer, is leading worship in Salem, Oregon today in a pulpit exchange with Reverend Monica. You are welcome here just as you are. Whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity, and in all the ways you're still becoming the person you will be. Here are a few things you should know about our service today so you can feel welcome. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see the subtitles on the screen in front and on Zoom for those online. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities for your hands so that everyone can be comfortable. We are a multi-generational community that welcomes people of all ages here in the sanctuary. We also have nursery care and a storytime program for children in the classroom wing, so please be where you are most comfortable. We're grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have a chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Monica. For those online, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. And for those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship out in the Commons. At 12:15 today, please join us here in the sanctuary or in the main Zoom room for a forum with Meg Martin, the director of Integrative Services at Interfaith Works, a longtime leader and advocate for the most vulnerable in our community. Meg will be sharing about the work and successes of Interfaith Works, the many ways they currently care and support those experiencing homelessness, and of plans for future care and services. Also today, those who are new to OUUC or interested in becoming a member are invited to our new UU class, which will be on connections and communications, today at 2 p.m. Next Sunday is Easter, and we will hold a dirt communion in the worship service. All are invited to bring a small cup or container of dirt or soil from your home, whatever home means to you, to the service next week. There will also be an Easter egg hunt for children at noon, and we are still welcoming more donations for treats and prizes for the children. You can see our religious education assistant, Anissa, for more information about prizes or the egg hunt. As you've heard, there are many things happening at OUUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with the words of Reverend Sharon Wiley.
I need matches. Yep. He's gone out. Yep. Thank you. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
All right. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you. Every part of you beautiful, just the way you are. Here you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding. No exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity, nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to the children or to anyone. You don't have to try and be more witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful, every part of you beautiful, just the way you are. You don't need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way they are. You are extraordinary, each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us worship together.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen. I use she, her pronouns. I am a short white woman in my early 40s wearing a black dress, a gray cardigan, and a stole that really beautifully complements the choir's stoles, although I did not do that on purpose. Our opening words this morning come from the poet Marge Piercy, from her poem, The Low Road. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight, you can refuse, you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration, 100 fill a hall, 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter, 10,000 power and your own paper, 100,000 your own media, 10 million your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act, when you do it again, even though they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together again. Hello, there we go. Let's sing together again. It's a season of singing Alleluia, so we're going to do one. Hymn number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. Invite you to rise in body and spirit.
Alleluia,
Thank you. You sound wonderful.
Good morning. I have a story for you today that comes from the Muskogee people, who tell that long, long ago, when the earth was young, all was darkness. All the creatures would have to go about their lives, bumping into things, trying to find each other, find things to eat, without any light. And as you might imagine, this was not a very nice way to go about without any light. And so one day, Bear, who had been off traveling, told the others, "There is this thing called the sun, but it is on the other side of the world, and the people there keep it hidden and will not share." And so it was decided that someone would need to go and steal a bit of the sun to bring it back. And the first to volunteer was Fox. Fox is quick and clever and had no trouble stealing in to grab a bit of the sun. Fox grabbed it in their mouth and quickly began to run back with the sun. But the sun is very hot. And so Fox's mouth began to burn, and Fox had no choice but to drop the sun. And to this day, foxes have black mouths because that first fox tried to carry the sun. Well, the second volunteer was Possum. And in those days, Possum had a full, luxurious tail covered in beautiful hair. And so Possum went and grabbed part of the sun and tried to carry it in their tail. But the sun is very hot. And so Possum's tail, all the hair burned off, and the sun was dropped. And to this day, possums have naked tails because that first possum tried to carry the sun. Well, the next volunteer was Grandmother Spider. And Grandmother Spider, in her wisdom, learned from the mistakes of others and realized that the sun was far too hot for anyone to carry it against their body. And so she wove out her silk threads, and she wove them into a bag, and took that bag and grabbed a piece of the sun and put it in the bag and carried it back. And now, hooray, they all had a piece of the sun. They had light. But what should they do with it now? Well, Grandmother Spider said that the sun shouldn't be kept for just some to enjoy. Why, it should be somewhere where all would benefit from its light and its heat. It should be up so high that it shone down on everyone. But how could they do that? Even if they climbed to the top of the very tallest tree, it still wouldn't be high enough for everyone to receive the light of the sun. Well, one of the birds was going to have to fly it to the top of the sky. And one of the very strongest and highest flyers, Buzzard, volunteered. Now, in those days, Buzzard had a full, luxurious head of feathers. And so Grandmother Spider tied the bag with the sun onto Buzzard's shoulders right behind their head, and Buzzard began to fly. And Buzzard flew higher and higher and higher. But the sun was hot, and it began to burn through Grandmother Spider's bag. But still, Buzzard kept on flying higher and higher and higher, and the sun was so hot it burned off all of Buzzard's feathers on their head. But still, Buzzard flew higher and higher and higher, and the sun was so hot it burned Buzzard's skin bright red and angry. But still, Buzzard kept on flying high and delivered the sun all the way to the top of the sky. And to this day, Buzzard looks rather silly because of doing that, carrying the sun all the way to the top of the sky. Well, now the sun was up where all could enjoy it. And when we look up at the sun today, every now and then you might see a reminder of grandmother spider's web in the rays of the sun, reminding us of all the ways that we are connected through this gift of light that shines on all. Thus ends our story.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than any one of us can do alone. We also express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. If you are new or visiting us, you are a welcome guest, and there's no expectation for you to contribute. However, if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share will be most gratefully received. The offering collected here does two things. It helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by your regular pledges. And this offering supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. Our Share the Plate organization for March and April is Wild Grief. This is what they share about their work.
Hello, Olympia UU congregation. My name is Monica Annie. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the program director at Wild Grief. We are a small local nonprofit. We've been around for about 10 years, and we offer free peer support groups for people of all ages who are grieving a death. And we do all of our programs in nature through hiking and camping and backpacking. We really believe that it's really important to normalize grief, and that being together outside with other people who have a shared experience is really healing. We serve over 350 people per year, all the way from babies to elders, through all these different programs, including programming in Spanish. All of our programs are totally free, and we provide all the gear for the overnight programs and help with transportation and just try to make them really accessible. Here's just some reasons why you might want to support us. People love our programs and come away from them usually saying that they feel a sense of relief and just connection and community. And also here in Thurston County, there actually isn't any other free grief peer support available right now, especially for children, teens, and young adults. So this is really crucial right now, the work that we're doing here. Here's some pictures from our teen backpacking trips and from our family camp out. And if you're interested in volunteering, you can just go to our website, wildgrief.org, and check out the volunteer page. We have a lot of ways to plug in. Thank you so much for supporting our work. We appreciate it.
May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you for your generosity in all the ways that you share your gifts. This morning, we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We gather in times of worry and anxiety and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community bringing all that is on our minds and our hearts. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat. Allow its resonance into your body. It is the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of community. Right now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the air in your body. Feel the earth beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. Today is Palm Sunday, the start of Christian Holy Week that ends with Easter next Sunday. This is a sacred time for Christians everywhere who celebrate and mourn in this holy time. Last night was the start of the Jewish holiday of Passover, when Jews around the world remember the story of bondage and liberation and celebrate with the ritual Seder dinner. We extend our hearts and care to our Christian and Jewish siblings around the world on these holidays and holy days. And Emily Ray extends her gratitude to Anita Thompson and all the presenters who made the Travel That Inspires class a great success. Thank you to all who inspired and worked hard on this class. Let's open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, we invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen, and it's then shared with Reverend Mary and the pastoral care team. And for those in person today, we invite you to come forward if there is something that you would like to bring into this community. You may place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let us hear the heartbeat of community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And we place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know yourself beloved.
As we gather today, amidst all the turmoil of the world, drawing on what we can learn from nature, I invite us to follow the example of one of our youngest participants, because today seems like a good day to howl. Please be, in whatever way is comfortable for you, to let it out. In a moment, you'll be invited to join in howling. Just lift your nose to the sky and howl. And after a bit, as our sound gradually settles down, then we will be in silence together. You ready?
our first reading, we have a video that summarizes what happened when wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming in the 1990s. The presence of the wolves produced what are called trophic cascades, in which what happens in one part of the ecosystem impacts many other levels.
One of the most exciting scientific findings of the past half-century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And the classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before the wolves turned up, they'd been absent for 70 years, that the numbers of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, had built up and built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans to control them, they'd managed to reduce much of the vegetation there to almost nothing. They'd just grazed it away. But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, of course, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behavior of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges. And immediately those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds, of migratory birds, started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species. And the dams they built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers. Ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion that the wolves had left. Bears fed on it too, and their population began to rise as well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. But here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behavior of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion. The channels narrowed, more pools formed, more riffle sections, all of which were great for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. And the reason was that the regenerating forests stabilized the banks so that they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized that as well. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.
The wolves coming back to Yellowstone, simply being themselves, and therefore affecting other species until the paths of the rivers change. It is astonishing what impact one being can make. 8 or so years ago, there was a book that swept through what seemed like half the people I knew. The book Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown. This is a book that looks at social change movements differently, a book that emphasizes emergence as a way that change gets made. Emergence is a name for the phenomenon of many small things adding up to one larger one. Think about wind, for example. Wind is produced by the movement of many individual air molecules. No one air molecule exerts pressure or has temperature in a way that we can perceive, but enough of them make a gust that can knock things over, that can bring cold or warmth. This property of emergence can be applied to human organizations, and Brown lists the following principles for understanding emergent strategy. Small is good, small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. Change is constant. Be like water. There is always enough time for the right work. There is a conversation that only these people at this moment can have. Find it. Never a failure, always a lesson. Trust the people so that they become trustworthy. Move at the speed of trust. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build resilience by building relationships. Less prep, more presence. What you pay attention to grows. Some of these are pretty straightforward. Some of them could use a little unpacking, and honestly, each of them could be a sermon unto itself. But let's look at a few. Change is constant. Be like water. Reminds me of Taoist teachings about water. The way it moves by flowing and seeking openings, willing to go over or under, left or right. The way that water makes change by slowly but inexorably wearing away even the hardest surfaces. The way water is always itself, whether it is one drop or many drops together as a flood, whether it is steam or ice. As the newsletter author Jessica Craven wrote this week, we are all like drops of water. On our own, we may be insignificant, but when we take all our drops and put them in one place, that's when we start carving stone. So just bring your drop, my friends. No need to carry the wave. The rest is a matter of time and physics. And then there's the principle to move at the speed of trust, one that calls us to tend our relationships. Getting quickly to our intended outcome is not ultimately effective if doing so means people who might have been engaged, might have been stakeholders, feel left out, uninvolved. And sometimes getting to our intended outcome is not even possible without trust. Picture with me, you're trying to convince someone to get in your car so you can drive them to safety, but you have never met this person. It's not like a movie. You can't just roll up, open the door, and yell, "Quick, get in!" and have them be like, "Okay." It turns out that building relationships is always key to our resilience, even beyond specific goals or plans or wanting to give someone a ride. Timothy Snyder, scholar of authoritarianism, reminds us that making eye contact and small talk with neighbors and strangers, people on the bus, those you are passing in the aisle at the grocery store, this is key to resisting authoritarian regimes. Just a fact you might find relevant for some reason. It is our connections with each other, both our deeper connections of significant trust and what sociologists call weak ties, our connections with people who just look familiar enough to us that we can kind of smile and say good morning, even though we don't know each other's names. All these connections are key to both our individual and our collective way forward. And our willingness to keep making these new connections, even during scary times, is essential. And as we find ourselves enduring and anticipating the chaos and challenge and crisis of these days, I am thinking not only about emergence, but also about trophic cascades. Trophic cascade is technically a specific biological term having to do with the levels of a food web in an ecosystem. And I'm not trying to bring in some kind of eat or be eaten teaching here. I'm thinking about trophic cascades as a way to invoke the power of change that starts in one place and ripples out to affect all. The way that simply being yourself in community, like being a wolf returning to Yellowstone, can have major impacts. It's important that we keep an eye on these impacts, that we practice zooming in and zooming out to see what is happening on different levels to get the most complete picture possible. In the days first following the wolves' return, I imagine that scientists and park staff knew that they would be observing an impact on deer populations. Probably one goal of reintroducing wolves was to help control and shape those deer populations. And now, I don't know, but I can say that I at least would not have been able to write a proposal that said, we need more songbirds in Yellowstone, so we're going to need some wolves. And I certainly would not have known how important it would be to zoom all the way out and get an aerial perspective on the way that the rivers were changing their paths. So if you ever find yourself wondering, what difference can my small local action make? I invite you to remember the wolves who changed the course of rivers simply by being themselves.
Our second reading is Trophic Cascade by Camille T. Dungy. After the reintroduction of gray wolves to Yellowstone and, as anticipated, their culling of deer, trees grew beyond the deer stunt of the mid-century. In their upreach, songbirds nested, who scattered seed for underbrush, and in that cover warrened snowshoe hare. Weasel and water shrew returned, also vole, and came soon hawk and falcon, bald eagle, kestrel, and with them hawk shadow, kestrel, falcon shadow. Eagle shade and kestrel shade haunted newly buried runnels where deer no longer rummaged, cautious as they were now of being surprised by wolves. Berries brought bear, while undergrowth and willows growing now right down to the river brought beavers who dam. Muskrats came to the dams, and tadpoles came too, the night song of the fathers of tadpoles. With water striders, the dark gray American dipper bobbed in fresh pools of the river, and fish stayed, and the bear who fished also culled deer fawns, and to their kill scraps came vulture and coyote, long gone in the region until now, and their scattered seed and more trees, brush, and berries grew up along the river that had run straight and so flooded, but thus dammed, compelled to meander, is less prone to overrun. Don't you tell me that this is not the same as my story. All this life born from one hungry animal. This whole new landscape, the course of the river changed. I know this. I reintroduced myself to myself, this time a mother, after which nothing was ever the same.
How many times in your life have you reintroduced yourself to yourself? Did you have a moment in your young adulthood, perhaps, when you let go of something that no longer seemed as important as it once was? Did you have a moment of committing to a partner or unpartnering? Did you realize you had an identity that could not be denied? A relational orientation, a gender expression. Maybe you entered parenthood, like Camille Dungy. Maybe you found work, paid or volunteer, that felt like a vocation, a calling. Maybe you retired and needed to reintroduce yourself to yourself. The thing about being authentically present as yourself is that it makes a difference for you and for everyone around you. Like the way wolves just being wolves in Yellowstone ultimately changed the way the rivers flow. Have you ever been in a relationship in which someone, maybe you, maybe the other person, someone was changing and it felt uncomfortable? The thing about authentic presence making a difference is that sometimes that difference causes cascading changes. And humans are not known for being universally good at change. When I was a seminary student studying to be a minister, in class one day, one of my professors leaned in. He said, "I'm going to tell you something it took me far too long to learn. It's really important that you know this now. People don't like change." And cascading change, my goodness, that is even harder for many people. Camille Dungy's poem illustrates the ways that we each have ecosystems inside us, the ways that change creates major alteration. And history offers us countless examples of the way small changes add up to major alterations in our societies. Too many people making too many quiet withdrawals from public life leaves no one to resist injustice or to notice the misfortune of neighbors. It's also true that many people choosing to remain connected with each other creates a cascade of impacts. Every time you perform an act of kindness for a stranger, every time you speak up to challenge words of oppression or disdain, every time you share what you have, you make a difference. You contribute to the overall ecosystem of connection. You are part of changing the flow of the rivers of our society, part of shaping our collective sense of how our relationships work. And guess what? We have ecosystems in us. We live in the ecosystems of our broader culture. Well, a congregation is also a kind of ecosystem. In a congregational ecosystem, there are the intended changes we know about, like going from 1 to 2 services so that more people can attend. And there are the ripple effect changes. Like the fact with 2 services, there will be some people who don't get to encounter each other. Maybe this seems great because more people generally being involved means you can make a bigger difference. Maybe this seems uncomfortable or unsettling if you were used to coming and having at least enough of a weak tie with everyone to smile and say good morning. And now there are these new faces. That feels some kind of way, as my friends from the South say. And I know not only have you gone to 2 services, but I know that this congregation has been in one state of change or another for about 10 years now. Several ministerial transitions, a global pandemic, and then that's without even talking about the bigger contexts of what is happening in our country, with our climate, in the world. So if you are thinking to yourself, nope, no more change, would really like it to just be very predictable and stable, no cascading, anything, I get it, right? It is exhausting just to be alive in the world right now. So why? Why is it worth it to make changes in congregational habits? Well, let us consult the theology of Trophic Cascades. Now, theology comes originally from root words that mean the study of God, but for UUs, it tends to mean looking at the way we interpret our lives and our world to make meaning and guide our choices. So just for a little bit, join me and Camille Dungy in taking Yellowstone as our sacred text. All the upheaval produced by wolves returning to Yellowstone might make someone ask, is this strictly necessary? And no, Yellowstone was fine during the years in which there were no wolves. It was not some dreadful place where nothing could thrive, but Yellowstone with wolves is much more vibrantly alive. Camille Dungy, I imagine, thought her life was fine and full of purpose and meaning before she became a parent. I don't know her personally, but through the glimpses of her experience that I get through her poetry, I think her life started in a satisfying place, and then becoming a mother brought her more fully into her own beinghood and deepened her engagement with the world. This is, by the way, my favorite definition of what we do in Unitarian Universalist congregations. We are places where people come more fully into their own beinghood. Committing to a UU congregation can be its own form of trophic cascade. So a theology of trophic cascades suggests that there come times in our lives when something shifts and we re-meet ourselves. This is true in our individual lives, it's true in our collective lives, and it's not always obvious how the changes will shake out. I bet that you know this in one way or another, that as your life has unfolded through changes that brought new song, new shadow, alterations in the rivers, I bet you know what it is to watch the changes unfold and not be quite sure where they are going. A theology of trophic cascades suggests that we should assess the source of the changes to see if they seem to be generally appropriate. Wolves back in Yellowstone, yes. Lions in Yellowstone, no. And then place some trust in the resilience of the ecosystem and let the changes unfold. And I know that that is extra hard to do in these times when there are so many clearly inappropriate, damaging changes happening in the broader context of our world. But if you want this congregation to be a place where people get to reintroduce themselves to themselves, where people come more fully into their own beinghood, where the cascading effects are life-giving both within and beyond this congregation, then you are invited to the same acts of trust that I imagine biologists and ecologists practiced in Yellowstone in 1995, and to the same acts of wonder as the changes bring about a whole new level of vibrancy for the whole system. So let us share in a few moments of silence as we imagine where these acts of trust and wonder might take us.
I invite you to rise in body and our spirit, and let's sing together hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. You are online and you have lit a chalice or a candle, please join with me as we extinguish our chalice with the words of Craig Rowland, a member of the UU Congregation of Salem. As we extinguish this chalice flame, may the warmth of its light remain within us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way.